Greetings, dear friends. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Happy New Year in the moon calendar. Today we come together to be in a circle with the energies of Aquarius, bringing our minds and hearts in the meditation for the common good. The topic for our Aquarius cycle meditation is Invoking Aquarian waters, purifying the collective emotional plane to make way for a sharing economy. We've been holding this topic in our focus since the full moon, reflecting and sharing our impressions. And today we come together to focus our group impression and formulate seed thoughts to put those into the group chalice to magnetize those in the service for humanity. Over to you, Rebecca.
And as we come together, we remind ourselves of our purpose for this project, meditation for the common good. And we're intending to support the manifestation of the spiritual plan for our planet through our group meditation, focusing the power of our joint intention for the common well-being of humanity and Earth's overall planetary life, enabling recognition and manifestation of spiritual principles in all fields of human life and activity. And as Alexander said, magnetizing thought forms of solution that will support practical actions that lead to the advancement of humanity. So DK says that in Aquarius, the individual becomes the universal. Man alone and separative becomes mankind in his reactions and awareness, and yet at the same time, he preserves his individuality. He's no longer just a human being, individually self-centered and separative, but he becomes humanity itself, losing his personal identity in the good of the whole, yet retaining his spiritual identity. So as we align with our topic of purifying the collective emotional plane to make way for a sharing economy, let us be together as we begin our alignment through the naming circle. Handing over to you, Tracy.
Thank you, Rebecca. As we begin our focus today in this new moon meditation, the naming circle unites our hearts across distance as we begin our alignment and bring ourselves fully into our group work. By uniting our hearts in this way, we begin naturally to work telepathically through our group mind. The key to this telepathic work is in the etheric alignment, which creates the group field and allows it to become both a receiving and transmitting agent for higher ideas and energies. We will begin by calling our names into the circle, starting with our organizers. And as your name is called, please unmute yourself, say your name, and where you are calling in from. For example, Tracy Arbor, calling in from Novi, Michigan, USA. And as we go through this, let us turn our attention to our hearts and the heart center of the group gathered today, as each one of us calls ourselves into this circle. Alexander.
And this is Alexander calling in from Brooklyn, New York.
Welcome. Rebecca.
Hi, this is Rebecca calling in from the east coast of Australia.
Welcome. Ariel.
Okay, I am Arjo from Finland, from Middle Finland, from a small town called Jyväskylä. Hello.
Welcome. Barclay.
Barclay, please unmute.
Welcome, Barclay.
Sorry, I was unable to unmute myself. I'm here now.
Oh, good.
In Querétaro, Mexico.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Darcy.
This is Darcy Sessions calling in from Washington, D.C. area, USA.
Welcome. Elizabeth.
This is Elizabeth Spees. I live in Maryland near Washington, D.C.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Francis.
Good morning. This is Frances Gadet and Martha Gallagher calling in from Victoria, British Columbia, Canada.
Welcome, Francis and Martha. Gail.
This is Gail Jolly calling from the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina, USA.
Welcome. Jillian.
Hello, this is Gillian from Norfolk, UK.
Welcome. Joe.
Hello, everyone. This is Joe calling in from South Central Colorado.
Welcome. Lynn.
I'm Lynn Green, and I'm calling from Columbus, Ohio, USA.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Martine.
Hello, everybody. This is Martine calling in from Belgium, Châtelet.
Welcome. Miro.
Oof.
Miro, please unmute yourself.
Welcome, Miro. Natalie. Welcome, Natalie. Nicole.
This is Nicole from Maryland, USA.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Roswitha. Roswitha.
Rosita, please unmute yourself.
Unmuted. Did you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Roswitha from Geneva. It's okay?
Welcome.
Thank
Beautiful.
you.
Thank you. Sanjay.
Namaste everyone, Sanjay Sharma from National Capital Region near New Delhi, 20 kilometers from Delhi. Thank you. India.
Welcome. Welcome. Thank you, everyone. Now that we are linked together as a group, let us share a few moments in silence to align, forming a triangle between Shambhala, hierarchy, and humanity. May our efforts be of the highest vibration in selfless service for our purpose.
Continue holding our meditative alignment. And we bring our focus to the topic of our reflection this month, invoking Aquarian waters to purify the collective emotional plane, making way for a sharing economy. As we started our meditation on this topic during the full moon, we were offered the following questions for reflection. How can we help the cleansing of the collective emotional plane? What worldwide effects would a purified emotional plane have on the economy? How can we strengthen humanity to create a sharing economy? Let us hold meditative focus on these questions, preparing for the group sharing. And as we reflect on these questions, let us think about seeds, thought forms that we will later offer into the group chalice. And as we listen to each other and to the silence of our group center, let us hold our meditative alignment throughout our sharing. So we open now the space and invite all of us to take turn sharing our understanding of the unfolding divine plan in relations to the sharing economy and how the cleansing of the astral plane can support manifestation of the principle of sharing. Whenever you're ready to speak, please raise your hand and we will call your name. The community impressions boards is open for contributions, and there are already some quotes that have been shared through the last couple of weeks that's been added to the impressions board. Joe, please unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. In contemplating these questions, the first seed that comes to mind relates to the clarifying and cleansing purification of our collective emotional plane, the astral body, the astral plane, where humanity is, for the most part, focalized. And in this, in relation to a sharing economy, I think the first question is for the individual, where am I attached? From whence do I need to detach my relationship with the economy in order to allow a sense of a higher expression and sharing and fluidity of resources throughout humanity? From the individual level, then one moves to the group level, to regional, national, and then to global economy. And I think it's really essential that we can use certain techniques. The dissipation of glamour is probably one of the most potent techniques that can be used. And I think another aspect of this one can practice as an individual in every single exchange of resource by starting from the soul level and envisioning the flow of soul light into the exchange, and the quality of the etheric light, as we've been told, is golden. So in attracting money for hierarchical purposes, it's the stream of golden light, and I think it's incumbent on all of us in every single exchange. And I think it can be very practical. Think of the number of times you might be in relationship with your bank account. Think of the number of times that you'll be in relationship in terms of a resource exchange to benefit a group. There's so many ways this can be made practical on a daily basis. I think the worldwide effect, that second question in terms of a purified emotional plane, is really a very challenging question for all of us, because each nation is actually attached very strongly to their own currency, to the way in which their currency system works, to the value of their currency, and all these very deep questions. So those who are working in the financial industries and working in these massive exchanges of currency and resources, we can meditate to infuse these systems with right relationship. That to me is the fundamental of the worldwide effect. It's this right relationship. And then the last question, how we strengthen humanity to create a sharing economy. I think each one of us do this individually by being selfless, living selflessness, living harmlessness, and using right expression. So we do that individually. We do that in our groups. There are many who support our groups with actually financial resources, others with their expertise, others with their focused intention on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and all of that can strengthen the sharing economy. But it won't happen unless we actually express it individually with every single exchange. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Joe. Ario, please unmute yourself.
Yes, as an engineer, I always want to put everything into the practical level first, and my way to do is so that I have this monthly donator for Greenpeace, Save Children, and also this Amazon Watch and UNICEF and few other organizations. But I think this is then nowadays quite practical way how I can, from my personal level, share for those organizations which I really feel that they are the work they are doing. It is the work of the plan, and of course, then during meditation, then I also try to construct such kind of atmosphere around the whole globe that somehow people would start to listen their souls, and their souls would start to guide their actions. These are just few thoughts about that idea.
Thank you, Ario. Sanjay, please unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you, Alexander, and the friends for giving me the opportunity. As sister has said, right human relations, yes. Dissipation of fear, that is fear of other human beings that the present civilization carries. Again, it comes under the overall heading of right human relations. And, my specific answer to question number 3, that is how can we strengthen humanity to create a sharing economy, is my opinion is that it has to be by design of a sharing economy. Unless we design it, nice to nice to meditate, nice to have wishes, nice to have wishful thinking, but at the same time, of course, all of it helps. At the same time, we need to, as the educated class of the world, need to function, needs to work, and needs to find out instruments as to how do we design a sharing economies. And many thinkers in the world have expressed their opinions in that. There are possibilities, as you know, if just now a friend said that he's an engineer and he suggested something, but then many engineers, many designers, many economists have suggested design of alternate economy. That needs to be corrected. I would in fact request you to hold separate session for how we can design a sharing economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay. Francis and Martha, please unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to start by acknowledging some of the seed thoughts that were already offered earlier in the resource board, especially the one that said, imagine ourselves recognizing all that lives as beings. How would we behave toward all those illusions that cause us to think of the other as other when there is no other? And the second thing that was offered was to, in the context of mental health and recognizing that probably the greatest medicine for mental health is soul consciousness. And imagine all of us collaborating to create the conditions that would make soul consciousness available. By that, you know, when we talk about the emotional plane, our sentiency helps us in that we know when when we're in an atmosphere that generates serenity. We know what that feels like. Our sentiency tells us that, and how capable we actually are if we connect a lot of our practical behaviors that are often spontaneous with this notion of the collective good and higher purpose. And there was another contribution that reminded us, at least it prompted me to recognize how all life is in motion, and that however way we connect to our bank accounts, we could be thinking in terms of circulation. How do we connect our exercise of money with the principles of circulation, the connecting of opposites into the line, the developing of rotation, of the capacity for the human to engage in a spiralic direction. And the suggestion in that resource board included balancing giving with taking. So, as was mentioned earlier, dissipation of glamour has a lot of technical application. And I appreciated the earlier speaker who used the term design, because in this emerging age, actually, there are many, many good transitional designs. And I think that the Aquarian waters may be symbolic in reference to the human being willing to develop skill in systems thinking in ways that we can open our attention to what is working. So one of the first principles for me in this particular framework has to do with, on every level, learning to identify with the good. And there's so much good around us that we know that inherent in that which we recognize as good are many, many seed thoughts, creative, imaginative seed thoughts, which when combined, as is our work, will create the tipping point for the coming new age. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Today, as we share, let us keep the focus on the listening to each other and hear what resonates for us in what can share it into the circle. When we come to the meditation, we could bring those seeds to the group chalice. Either is it something that came to you through your own reflection, or what resonated for you from what's been shared in this circle. Gillian, please unmute yourself.
Thank you. I think, as someone has already said, the dispelling of fear is one of the most important things, because I don't see how there can be too much sharing when people are afraid. People tend to dislike each other because of fear. They fear the difference between them. And people hoard money out of fear because they think they're going to run out of it. So I think that's an important point. Thank you.
Thank you, Gillian. Helen, please. You're unmuted. Helen, seems to be there is a problem with your microphone. We cannot hear you. I can hear in the ethers you're speaking, but your voice is not coming through the go to webinar. Can you check the connection of your microphone or any other settings? No, we still cannot hear you, Helen. Helen, if you want, I could call you on WhatsApp and you could share it that way. I think we would be able to hear you then. Hello, Helen.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I think it's a bit of a double take. I just wanted to say something about the first, about the emotional pain. And during the past.
There's, sorry, Helen, there seems to be echo. Can you turn on the sound on your computer because your voice coming from your speakers and it creates the loop. Can we try again?
So what shall I?
Let's try again. So we're trying again.
Is that any better?
Yes, it doesn't create the echo. Let's try.
Okay. Well, I was going to say about the first question about the astral plane, clearing the astral plane. It came to me during the last fortnight. It's a meditation of the phlebotomies, which there was an alignment, and then it said to observe the personality from the point of view of the etheric. And I was working on this, and it really did show me some aspects I don't think I'd really appreciated about how difficult it was for the etheric to really absorb the energy of the soul and the light of the soul and the vibration when it had this thick coat of astral and mental. From the etheric, you really see that astral fog, and I really came to appreciate how difficult it is for the etheric to flow and for the energy to be shared and move easily between all people, all countries, all forms and all planes. when it has this fog around it. And I just found this exercise of looking up through, from the etheric, through these layers, just gave me a different perspective on it. And I think the more I can do it, hopefully the easier it becomes for the whole of humanity, just little bits at a time, to clear this huge fog in the astral plane and allow this easy flow of energy through the ether. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. I hope Helen's voice was coming more or less clear. Rebecca, how was the sound?
The sound wasn't great, but I could hear what she said quite well. So I could hear the sense of what you were saying, Helen. So yeah, it worked.
Thank you. I would like to read this quote from Telepathy, which is added to the Community Impressions Board. The entire evolutionary history of our planet is one of reception and of distribution, of a taking in and of a giving out. The key to humanity's trouble, focusing as it has in the economic troubles of the past 200 years and in the theological impasse of the Orthodox churches, has been to take and not to give, to accept and not to share, to grasp and not to distribute. This is the breaking of the law which has placed humanity in the position of guilt. The war is the dire penalty which humanity has had to pay for this great sin of separateness. Impressions from the hierarchy have been received, distorted, misapplied, and misinterpreted. And the task of the new group of world service is to offset this evil. Helen, I see your hand is raised again. Please put in the chat if you would like to speak again, and I will call you back on WhatsApp.
I'm not sure if that process is going on in the background, Alexander, but I just might take a moment, since I can't raise my hand, to just unmute myself and share some thoughts as well. It's Rebecca here. I just wanted to add to everything that's been said, really, but Gillian spoke about fear and the paralyzing effect that that has on us. And adding to that is the quality, the emotional quality of desire, which the Tibetan talks about in Problems of Humanity. And he speaks about it. I'll read a little bit of it. He speaks about desire as a fundamental weakness of humanity. And he says that money is the result and the symbol of desire. But we know also that elsewhere he speaks about money as a means for circulation and for the meeting of needs as well. So, but just in relation to our topic of the astral plane, the quality of desire seems to be really important. And the Tibetan says it demands desire, demands the satisfaction of sensed need, the desire for goods and possessions, the desire for material comfort, for the acquisition and accumulation of things, for power and the supremacy which money can give. This desire controls and dominates human thinking. It is the keynote of our modern civilization, and it is also the octopus which is slowly strangling human life, enterprise, and decency. It is the millstone around the neck of mankind. And I think when you have that desire nature unrecognized and unmanaged, and then the fear unrecognized and unmanaged, which is being played upon so greatly in our world by advertising and propaganda. This is creating a big obstacle to our sharing economy. And as has been said by other individuals, if we can work individually at lifting ourselves up, doing exercises in dissipating glamour, seeing through the fog from the etheric, then that's all going to contribute to the dissipation of these great emotional forces. I think an important thing that may create a better worldwide economic situation is the releasing or decoupling of the economy from power. I'm not sure how that could be achieved, but at the moment, the political system and the financial system are so tightly intertwined that it also strangles, and that's based on the desire and the desire for power, and through that, the propagation of fear into humanity. So somehow separating the political and the financial systems seems to be an important part of the design that we might need to consider as we move up into the mental level to try and solve this problem. And the other idea that was really beautiful, I think, came from Martha, of focusing on the good. And this idea of brotherhood and the will to good, it seems that by moving into the mental, we can bring emotions that are higher and cleaner into the astral plane. And if we focus on, Rudolf Steiner has suggested, this idea of focusing on the value of what every person in the economy brings to humanity, what every good that's manufactured, every service, every utensil, every item that we use, every task that someone does, being appreciative and recognizing the good and the service that that gives us, no matter how small, seems to be a possible pathway for bringing brotherliness and goodwill into the economy.
Thank you, Rebecca. I would like to add three impressions, three thoughts. One, how can we help cleansing of the collective emotional plane is humor, the great power of humor that takes us out of fixation on any glamour. And as an example for that is the recent movie, Genius satire, to my opinion, it's like Don't Look Up. If you didn't had a chance to see it yet, I highly recommend that. And that glamour of greed, it's shown there so hilariously, and like how far it can take us into the most ridiculous situations imaginable. The second thing is about the role that the new group of world service should play towards humanity. And specifically esoteric groups. We have the capacity and instruments to work with the energy of the will, precipitating it, the energy of the will to good and the will to love into humanity. The energy of will becomes more and more available to humanity through the alignment of hierarchy Shambhala and humanity. And the impulse, Shambhalic impulse of 2000 becomes more prevalent and palpable as we think about the all turbulence that's been unfolding in humanity in the last decade. So if we do not do our part, that energy, as Tibetan says, will be intercepted by bad guys and used for their selfish purposes. And so therefore, it's our role to work as a transformation station, receiving and transforming station of that energy and distributing it to the entire world group of service, the all people of goodwill that will be precipitated in the adopted, qualified properly. That's what Helen said, that energy that's precipitated could be accepted more readily by all people who serve. And the third thing that just came as I was listening what Rebecca shared is that as the energy of Aquarius unfold further, its two main nodes, the node of brotherhood and the node of freedom, becoming more and more prevalent. And so far, those great ideas been misinterpreted to large degree by humanity as individual good versus common good, the individual freedom versus collective common good of brotherly sharing, which leads to totalitarian control at the end of the day. So it is the balance of those two nodes, of those two qualities, which at the end of the day in relations to the economy are important for us to precipitate and manifest. So it's the balance between individual and collective. Individual good and collective good.
Thanks, Alexandra. I had a lot of those same thoughts, and you mentioned something about the energies possibly collecting and being used by that which isn't good, which brings us back to the will again, and the group of world servers with that intense focus and will to good towards giving and sending those energies to the places that it needs to be sent to, or through hierarchy for it to be distributed. I think part of our job as world servers is to really clarify the focus. I think somebody mentioned that earlier about starting and having a mental, soul conscious focus on the good, whatever, but actually making a clear imagery and focus that will to good energy can be delivered where it needs to be delivered, so it can be distributed to where it needs to truly go. That's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Nicole, please unmute yourself.
Yes, I just wanted to back up what the lady just said, because all the you've been saying all those good stuff, and very good to hear people getting together and make the right decision on behalf of humanity, which is greatly needed right now. But after what she said, I had in my mind that been rolling, then this is what I've been trying to do, because I know we can, as a collective soul, we are one. And this is how we're going to improve in any way, because we are not physically attached to it, physically close to each other, but as a soul level, collectively, we can meditate on being emotionally free. That will, I think that will, I've been doing that, knowing that I can include all my brother and sister all around the world as a soul level, where we know the soul is perfect, and then we know that the universe has it all. It's already there. So once I meditate around it, I feel comfortable that everybody will get what they need. And then everything that we worry about, the fear and everything, could dissipate just because we're holding everybody as a soul in that being free emotionally. We know that a lot of things will be done for the good and welfare of humanity. That's all I needed to say.
Thank you, Nicole. Considering the time flow, I suggest we start preparing for the meditation. So I see, Lynn, your hand is raised. Just before I give the microphone to you, Lynn, I want to suggest us to think of the seed thought that we would like to offer into the meditative chalice. Over to you, Lynn, and then Rebecca will lead us into meditation. Lynn, please unmute yourself.
I can wait. That's okay. I can wait if it's time we need to move on. I have something I thought about reading. Actually, it's called Pattern on the Trestle Board, but I'm not sure this is the right time for it. It's an old, by Paul Foster Case. It's an old sort of invocation, I guess. But that's not something I need to do right now. If you'd like me to, I will.
Please share it now. That would be great, Lynn.
Okay. It follows very well right on what Nicole just said, I think. I don't know if anyone else is familiar with this. It's been around for some time, but I think it's very powerful and addresses some of the things that we've been discussing. Here goes. This is the truth about the self. All the power that ever was or will be is here now. We are centers of expression for the primal will to good, which eternally creates and sustains the universe. Through us, its unfailing wisdom takes form in thought and word. Filled with understanding of its perfect law, we are guided moment by moment along the path of liberation. From the exhaustless riches of its limitless substance, we draw all things needful, both spiritual and material. We recognize the manifestation of the undeviating justice in all the circumstances of our lives. In all things, great and small, we see the beauty of the divine expression. Living from that will, supported by its unfailing wisdom and understanding, ours is the victorious life. We look forward with confidence to the perfect realization of the eternal splendor of the limitless light. In thought and word and deed, we rest our lives from day to day upon the sure foundation of eternal being. The kingdom of spirit is embodied in our flesh.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Lynn. So let us focus in our meditative space. Over to you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Sasha. So So let's connect again with the atmosphere of Aquarius, in which we work. The 3 keynotes of Aquarius that we are given, where the service of the personality, the lower self, transmutes itself into the service of humanity. Superficial, selfish activity changes into deep, active intention to be active on behalf of the hierarchy. Self-conscious living develops into sensitive, humanitarian awareness. Let's take a minute to be with these keynotes. Personality, service transmuting to service of humanity. Superficial activity transmuting into activity on behalf of the hierarchy. Self-conscious living transmuting into sensitive human awareness. And in this atmosphere of Aquarius, where the man becomes humanity itself, losing his personal identity in the good of the whole, yet retaining his spiritual identity. Let us affirm our alignment with the angelic and hierarchical beings who have attended our conversation today. We recognize and acknowledge their presence. We express our gratitude to each other and to these high forces, high beings. And we consciously form the image of our chalice in our group heart and mind, woven from the threads of our conversation, pulsating with life and light. And as we hold this image of the chalice which is us, formed from us, overshadowed by the Aquarian energies, a partnership between ourselves and the plan. Let us take a few moments to let our minds play over all that has been said today, the things that resonate and leap out, stand out for us, have meaning to us, each one. And as we do this, let us invoke the precipitation of seed thoughts that we can offer into this chalice, this glowing chalice, to bring down our meditation work today. And we lovingly offer our seed thoughts, our precipitated seed thoughts and work today into the chalice, into the container, the central space of the chalice. If you have a seed thought that you've formulated or that has become formulated for you, we will leave some space now. Please unmute yourself and speak into the chalice.
Dynamic balance of qualities, freedom and brotherhood.
As a result of meditation, meditating on chalice and all the thoughts that have been shared, dynamic things are happening, it appears to me, and we are all moving towards a sharing and shared economy.
We are precipitating and transforming the shambolic impulse for the good of the whole.
Through realization of freedom comes with awareness of responsibility.
As we exercise the will to good through deep focus and positive intention from a soul conscious level, all fear, glamour, and illusion is cleared from the collective emotional plane, allowing the truth of Aquarian brotherhood to manifest and express itself in a new design for a sharing economy that benefits all mankind.
It is humanity which determines its own destiny. Disciples point the way, indicate the vision, set a needed example, and emphasize the ancient landmarks.
And within our function as formers, holders and keepers of the chalice, we safeguard through our efforts and our will to good the etheric, the astral and the mental worlds. Observing, objectively looking, purifying through our objectification. Taking practical actions on the level of the individual. Connecting our bank accounts with thoughts of circulation. Giving our resources to the work of the plan. Listening to the soul so that it can guide our actions. Clarifying the focus. Creating a clear picture. Envisioning the flow. And from our vitalized, potentized seed thoughts washed in the energies of Aquarius, let the waters of life flow forth, pour forth from our chalice in service of humanity, assisting the growth of a truly brotherly economy. As we invoke, from the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into human minds. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into human hearts. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide all little human wills. The purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call humanity, let the plan of love and light work out. And may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth.
Thank you, friends. We continue our work together. And as we move towards the full moon, the subjective support group, the custodians of the purpose of our work, will come together to meditate and share on possible topics for our coming cycle of Pisces. If you are interested to join that meeting, please let us know, and we will share with you the information about the day and time of the meeting. Much love.